Let me read to you a passage from the 21st chapter of St. John's Gospel, verses 15 to 19. It's the Gospel for the Vigil of the Feast of St. Peter and St. Paul on June the 29th. St. John writes, "When they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, 'Simon, son of John, do you truly love me more than these?' 'Yes, Lord,' he said, 'you know that I love you.' Jesus said, 'Feed my lambs.' Again Jesus said, 'Simon, son of John, do you truly love me?' He answered, 'Yes, Lord, you know that I love you.' Jesus said, 'Take care of my sheep.' The third time he said to him, 'Simon, son of John, do you love me?' Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the third time, 'Do you love me?' He said, 'Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you.' Jesus said, 'Feed my sheep. I tell you the truth, when you were younger, you dressed yourself and went where you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will dress you and lead you where you would not want to go.' Jesus said this to indicate the kind of death by which Peter would glorify God. Then he said to him, 'Follow me.'" That's from John chapter 21, verses 15 to 19. It speaks of love in revealed religion. You know, when one thinks of the multitude of gods in the religions of man outside the Judeo-Christian revelation, the very thought of a monotheistic religion would be a little startling, were we not so thoroughly used to the idea. The religion of the Jews, with its great temple, must have been a cause of surprise to the societies and cultures of classical times. The Jews had but one God, and he was Lord of the world and all in it. He had an altogether special relationship with them, and that was by his choice. The monotheistic feature of their religion in due course won the field and became the eminently respectable position in religion. This, though, was primarily due, of course, to the influence of Christianity, but that is another matter. But there was another aspect of the monotheistic religion of the Jews which was most notable. The one God was not just to be obeyed and feared, nor was it enough that he have no rivals in any other gods. He was to be loved by his people. The command was to love him with all one's heart and soul. This command was somewhat buried away in the inspired scrolls. It is in Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 5, but it was there and it was implied throughout the religion. When questioned about all the commandments of the law, Christ instantly pointed to this command as the essence of everything. The religion of Judaism was a religion of love for the one God, a love that was to be total. Closely allied to it was love for one's neighbor. The whole law and the prophets hung on this dual command to love. A child of Israel who attained a true love for Yahweh God had lived according to the law. And there were such persons in Israel. Many such prophets and holy men feature in the scriptures, right to the beginnings of the New Testament, in the persons of Zechariah, Elizabeth, Simeon, Anna, and of course Mary and Joseph. But it is Jesus Christ who fulfills all of this. He is the supreme paragon of love for Yahweh God. God is his own Father. But even more, the religion he revealed involved love in its most concrete form. He fulfilled the law and the prophets in that the love that was commanded in them was found in his person and was directed to his person. Revealed religion involves love for Jesus Christ. More exactly, it is not just, of course, he is not just a prophet, the prophet to come, who speaks on God's behalf and points to him. He is himself the object of religious love and worship, for he himself is God. The point here, though, is that this involves love, a love expressed in obedience, but love nevertheless. And this is where our gospel today, that I read earlier, drawn from the end of the Gospel of St. John, is especially significant. It stresses that revealed religion is a matter of total personal love for Jesus Christ. In respect to the Gospel of John, it seems to have two conclusions. The first comes at the end of chapter 20, with the great profession of faith of the doubting Thomas, and the second, a later addition, a later conclusion, comes at the end of the next chapter, which primarily sets forth the relationship between Jesus and Simon Peter. In Thomas's final words to Jesus, Christ is acknowledged as Yahweh God. My Lord and my God, Thomas proclaims. This transcends anything in the scriptures of Israel before it. It is not a new God who is here acknowledged. Rather, the same God is found in Jesus Christ. This same one and only God is in three distinct divine persons, and the risen Jesus is the second of them, the second divine person. In the next and final chapter, chapter 21 of John, it is made manifestly clear that Jesus, God and man, is to be loved. The command of the law and the prophets to love God with all one's being is to be directed to the person of Jesus Christ. Christ insistently requires of Simon Peter that he love him. Simon, son of John, do you truly love me? He answered, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Jesus said, Take care of my sheep. The third time he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the third time, Do you love me? He said, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. John chapter 21, verse 15 to 19. Nothing could be plainer. Revealed religion is a matter of a personal love for Jesus Christ, and this is to be expressed in a close following of him. Then he said to him, we read, Follow me. The religion of Abraham, Moses, and the law and the prophets has become very specific, very concrete. Jesus Christ is its heart, its soul, its entire life. St. Paul writes that Jesus Christ is the image of the unseen God. Colossians chapter 1 verse 15. He writes that in him is to be found every heavenly blessing. Ephesians chapter 1 verse 3. The fullness of the Godhead dwells in Jesus Christ bodily. Colossians chapter 2 verse 9. Christ enters into a personal bond with each of us at our baptism by the gift to us of his own divine Spirit, and thenceforth he calls us not servants but his friends. John chapter 15 verse 15 to 17. The religion which God has established among men and which he wishes to bring to the whole world is a personal friendship with his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ our Lord and our Redeemer. So then, let us make friendship with Jesus Christ our life.